Hello there. International voting for this year's general election opens today. And if you are a New Zealander living overseas or you know a New Zealander living overseas, double check your eligibility status as to whether or not you can vote, because the criteria has been extended for this election alone. And this year, you could have much more impact on exactly how our parliament is made up. Because, well, there's more of you, because the eligibility status has been extended. In fact, there could be 4 to 5% of the total overall votes cast could come down from New Zealanders overseas. And that could have a huge impact on Parliament. And we can see what that impact kind of is going to be using what's happened in the past. We've got 25 years worth of MMP elections now that we can look back on and go, ooh, so this is what tends to happen. And what does tend to happen from international and special votes is a shift to the left slightly. In the 2020 election, for example, National lost 2 seats that were given to Te Pāti Māori and Labour because that's how the redistribution of votes went after those special votes were counted. This year's election is a little bit different for clearly obvious reasons, but the impact that it has on the makeup of our parliament could be significantly more. We're going to use the One News opinion poll from last week and the party vote distribution that that poll gave us, because while polls are absolutely terrible, it gives us some concrete numbers that we can kind of work with for this thought experiment. Under this breakdown, based on that poll, New Zealand First on 5% would be in Parliament with 6 MPs. You would have ACT and National there as well, with 61 MPs between them. But what we've seen in the past is significant drops for New Zealand First and National and a smaller drop for ACT. You'd be looking at a major redistribution of how Parliament works. For a start, New Zealand First would drop below that 5% threshold and be out, which means that the effective MMP rate really kicks into place and changes things up. You would also lose a couple of seats to National and probably one to ACT, which would go over to the left-leaning blocs. Who knows where, though? And that would probably end up in a hung parliament based on the numbers that we saw from the last opinion poll. And that's kind of scary. You see, a hung parliament means nobody can agree on anything and parliament can't move forward. No laws can be passed, and there's a whole bunch of issues that come into play. It might actually end up in having another election because nobody can come to any sort of agreement. And that's a lot of power. International voters have the power to do that. Local voters definitely have the power to do that if they mobilise and get out and have their say, and to change the fact that a hung parliament is a potential option here. But what's really important to take away is that no matter where you are in the world, your vote is really important to making sure the country itself can go forward, can continue to operate. And every vote, no matter where it's from, is really powerful.